There's a pattern in government promises that has destroyed the retirement of millions across 2,000 years. Right now, your Social Security follows the exact same 5-stage pattern that bankrupted 300,000 Roman veterans. And I have the evidence. Let me show you exactly how Rome made promises it never intended to keep and why the math says it's happening again. Welcome to Past Chronicles, where history, money, and power collide. And nothing is ever as simple as it looks. The pattern has 5 stages. Stage 1 is the promise. Stage 2 is the delay. Stage 3 is the substitution. Stage 4 is the debasement. Stage 5 is the betrayal. Rome went through all 5. Right now, the United States is at stage 4. This isn't conspiracy. This is mathematics. The numbers are in the official government reports. And once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. But to understand why this pattern always ends the same way, we need to follow the promises back to where they started. Rome, 27 BC. The promise that would bankrupt an empire, stage 1. The promise. Augustus becomes emperor in 27 BC. He inherits an army problem. Rome has 400,000 soldiers. They serve for 20 years. Sometimes 25. And every one of them expects payment when they're done. Not just money, land, real property, a farm, a future. That's the deal. Serve Rome, get land. Augustus makes it official. A written promise, bronze tablets, legal documents. Serve 20 years. Receive a plot of land in the provinces. The promise is specific. The promise is binding. I've linked the ancient source in the description. Here's the math Augustus is facing. 20,000 veterans retire every single year. Each one needs roughly 10 acres. That's 200,000 acres of productive farmland annually. And here's the problem. Rome doesn't have that much unused land. Not in Italy. The good land is already owned by senators, by wealthy families, by the people who fund Augustus. So what does Augustus do? He looks to the provinces, Gaul, Spain, North Africa, Illyria, land taken in conquest, land Rome claims to own. And he makes the promise official, the promise that will create the pattern. But here's what the promise actually costs. Survey teams, engineers, infrastructure. Someone has to divide the land. Mark the plots, build roads, dig wells, construct basic housing. Then there's security. New settlements need protection. That means more soldiers, stationed permanently. Garrison costs, supply lines. The veterans get their farms. But those farms need to be defended. The cycle becomes self-reinforcing and expensive. Historians estimate the total cost at over 500 billion in today's dollars, 50 billion per year, for land grants alone. Augustus commits to a promise Rome cannot afford. And within 20 years, the cracks appear. Veterans start complaining. The land they were promised isn't available. The surveys haven't been completed. The plots aren't marked. The infrastructure doesn't exist. The provinces don't want Roman veterans settling on their land. Local governors drag their feet. Bureaucracy becomes the weapon. Stage 1 is ending. Stage 2 is beginning. The delay. Stage 2. The delay. The government has made a promise, but fulfilling it immediately would bankrupt the treasury. So the machine activates. Surveys take longer than expected. Legal challenges from local landowners, security concerns in the provinces, administrative backlogs, technical complications, every excuse designed to push the payout into the future. And here's the crucial part. The veterans keep serving, because the promise still exists. On paper, in bronze, legal and binding. They believe the delay is temporary. Senators and wealthy Romans protect their landholdings through legal challenges and political connections. Meanwhile, veterans who fought for 20 years wait in legal limbo for promises made in bronze. Today, unfunded pension liabilities get pushed to future budgets while current retirees wait for full benefits. Same pattern, different century. Tiberius becomes emperor in 14 AD. He inherits the same problem. 240,000 veterans are owed land. The provinces are tapped out. Governors are refusing to comply, and the treasury is straining. So Tiberius creates a new solution. The military treasury, a dedicated fund to pay veterans. Not in land, in money. 12,000 sesterces per soldier. Cash instead of property. The veterans protest. They were promised land. Real wealth, generational assets. Not coins, but Tiberius is firm. Take the money or get nothing. Stage 3 has begun. The substitution. Stage 3, the substitution. Here's how this trick works. The government promised Asset A land, but Asset A is expensive and limited. So the government offers Asset B instead. Money. On the surface, this seems fair. 12,000 sesterces could theoretically buy 10 acres. But there's a catch. The government controls the money supply. The government determines what money is worth. And the government needs the money to stay valuable. For now, because stage 4 is coming. The stage where money becomes worthless. And when that happens, the veterans will discover they were paid in promises, not wealth. Augustus makes the promise. Tiberius delays the promise. Claudius substitutes the promise. The pattern holds across emperors. Nero increases the cash payouts but dilutes the currency. Vespasian creates new taxes to fund the payouts but reduces the silver content. Domitian expands the military, which creates more veterans, which increases the liability. Each emperor inherits the same mathematics. Each emperor makes the same choice. Delay, substitute, dilute. The promises stay on the books. The veterans stay in the system. And the currency keeps losing value. Same pattern. Stage 4, the debasement. Here's where the trick becomes obvious. The denarius starts at 95% silver under Augustus. By Nero, it's down to 90%. By Trajan, 85%. By Septimius Severus, 50%. By Gallienus, 5%. The veteran who retired under Augustus got paid in near pure silver. The veteran who retired under Gallienus got paid in copper with a silver wash. Same number of coins. Different value. The promise didn't change. The currency did. This is not a bug. This is the design. The ancient sources document the veterans' fury. I've linked Tacitus in the description. Wealthy Romans held assets. Land, property, real things. Their wealth survived currency debasement because dirt doesn't devalue. Veterans held promises, paper claims, monetary obligations. Their wealth evaporated because money is only worth what the government says it's worth. Today, asset holders, whether inflation, wage earners, and retirees, watch purchasing power collapse. Same mechanism. Let me show you what this meant in real terms. In 100 AD, 12,000 sesterces bought 10 acres of farmland. By 300 AD, 12,000 sesterces bought 3 months of grain. The number stayed the same. The value collapsed. Veterans who retired early in the cycle received something. Veterans who retired late received nothing. And here's the cruel part. They all made the same sacrifice. 20 years of service. Same risk, same blood, same promise. Different outcome. Entirely dependent on when they exited the system. The early ones got wealth. The late ones got betrayed. Stage 5, the final betrayal. By the 4th century, the pension system is dead. The treasury can't make payments. The currency is worthless. The provinces are in revolt. Veterans retire with nothing. The bronze tablets that promised land are historical artifacts, meaningless. The money they were paid, instead, bought nothing. And the land they were originally promised, still owned by senators, still held by the wealthy, still protected by the legal system. 300,000 veterans went through this cycle. 300,000 families discovered that government promises are not the same as government payments, and that promises denominated in currency are only as good as the currency itself. Gone. What makes this dangerous today is that your retirement is following the exact same 5 stages. Right now, the United States is deep into stage 4. The promise exists. Social Security. Written into law, guaranteed. You pay in for 40 years. You receive benefits when you retire. That's the deal. But here's the math. Social Security has $22 trillion in unfunded liabilities. $22 trillion in promises that have no funding source. The trust fund runs dry in 2033. 9 years. When that happens, benefits get cut by 23% automatically. By law, the promise changes. Just like Rome. Wealthy Americans hold diversified assets, real estate, stocks, commodities, investments that survive currency, debasement. Middle-class retirees hold Social Security promises, government obligations, claims on future tax revenue. The pattern is identical. Asset holders protected, promise holders exposed. And stage 3, the substitution, is already visible. The Federal Reserve's balance sheet was $800 billion in 2008. It's $8 trillion today, 10 times larger. That's not expansion. That's dilution. Every dollar printed makes your Social Security check worth less. You're not getting paid in assets. You're getting paid in currency. And the government controls what that currency is worth. Sound familiar? It should. Tiberius made the same choice. Augustus made the same promise. The veterans believed the same guarantees. The pattern across 2,000 years is identical. The mathematics don't change. Rome promised benefits it couldn't fund. The United States has promised benefits it cannot fund. Rome delayed, substituted, debased. The United States is delaying through trust fund accounting, substituting through means testing proposals, debasing through monetary expansion. The excuse is always the same: economic necessity, fiscal responsibility, protecting the system. But the outcome is always the same. Promises made, promises broken. The early retirees get something. The late retirees get betrayed. You cannot escape it because the pattern is mathematical, not political. This isn't speculation. It's in the official trustee report. All sources are linked in the description. So, what should you take from this? First, understand that government promises and government payments are not the same thing. Rome made promises in bronze that meant nothing when the currency collapsed. Your Social Security statement is a promise. It's not a guarantee. It's a claim on future political decisions. Second, recognize that promises denominated in currency are only as valuable as the currency itself. If the currency loses purchasing power, your benefit loses purchasing power. You're not owed dollars. You're owed whatever dollars are worth when you retire. Third, diversify outside the promise system. The only Romans who survived the pension collapse were the ones who owned real assets before the collapse. Came, land, property. Things that held value when money didn't. That's not doom and gloom. That's pattern recognition. Financial freedom doesn't come from trusting promises. It comes from understanding that governments optimize for political survival, not your retirement security. Rome could have funded the veteran pensions. They chose not to. because honoring the promise would have required taxing the wealthy, cutting military spending, making difficult choices. It was easier to delay, substitute, debase. And when the collapse came, the senators still had their land. Right now, we're at stage 4. Stage 5 is coming, and it comes fast. The veterans didn't see it coming because they believed the promise. You have the advantage of pattern recognition. If this showed you a pattern you hadn't seen before, subscribe, because the next video will show you stage 5 of the currency debasement cycle. What happens when governments abandon the currency completely? What did Romans use when money stopped working? How did commerce survive when trust collapsed? The answers aren't hiding in the future, they're written in the past. Past Chronicles has the answers. I'll show you where to look.